and some friends, Christopher Walken. I've done some articles recently and been speaking about a company called DNDN. It's a company that makes a drug for prostate cancer, a very painful and, how should you say, unwelcome kind of cancer, as all cancers are, for men particularly. But this company's stock has gotten pummeled over the past year, particularly from August last year, when it gapped down precipitously from the 34 to 36 area all the way down. Where did it open in here? Around 13 and a half. I mean, that's a huge drop. Over 2/3 of the company's capitalization overnight disappeared. Gone, never to be seen again, perhaps. But DNDN is no stranger to these kind of crazy gaps up or gaps down in the past. As you know, in its storied past, it had jumped up that potentially the FDA panel was ruling very positively on the drug Provenge in the past. And then the actual FDA said, no, a little too quick. We got to do a little more look-see into this. And the stock fell apart, which once was a $25 stock from $5, went all the way down to around $2.75, $3. I was playing with it in here. I actually made good money, sold a little too soon. This thing continued to rally as it looked like they were moving closer to approval. Wouldn't you know, stock gets approval. It's the highest high, 55 to 57, the day of approval. And since then, meandered around, talks about a buyout. But with the capitalization up there already up to the $5 billion area, people weren't going to overpay for this. I'm sure a lot of companies looked into it. And then, obviously, as we saw, the stock just collapsed. Let's get back from a weekly view down into the daily. Where's the daily? Right here. So you could see, after it had fallen, I'm going to try and grab this right in here. So you saw it fall. I'm going to scoot in a little bit. It then meandered down to roughly around 8 or so, ran up, gap down, sideways, big run up. Rumors again of buyout partnerships in Europe for Provenge, which is now being sold, albeit not as much as they thought, but still it's out there, it's working. And again, you see it going back and forth again, but you had a big gap down here in May, and another gap down again. And if you're coming to the end of what I've been talking to a lot of people about, it's not something you don't know about. It's called end of quarter window dressing, and it's basically alludes to how at the end of the quarter, many financial institutions, hedge funds, if they've been caught up in a loser, something that's been down for the quarter, they kick it out of their portfolio by the end to kind of like show that, hey, we didn't have that stock. Don't look at me. Don't blame me. But in reality, what happens, these stocks like Tempur-Pedic that got crushed, like Green Mountain Coffee that got crushed, what happens is, it's sort of like at the end of the quarter, the selling, it's sort of like when you hold the beach ball at the pool. You're just playing. You're holding the beach ball. You're throwing it back and forth with your son, your daughter, friends. And you hold that beach ball underwater just for kicks. Just to see, wow, holding this ball underwater, it's a lot of pressure. But when you let it go, it pops right up. And if it's a windy day, it's going to blow away. So you got to hold on to it. But that's what happens, so I say, to a lot of these stocks at the end of quarter. They're kind of held down. And then they pop up during the next quarter very often. Similar to the January effect, which I will not describe right here, right now. But what I've been looking at, and I follow also, and this is the beauty of exponential averages, the colors, the rainbow effect. What you had here, as it was falling apart, making almost like a head and shoulders inverted in here, the shoulder, a little sloped down, kind of like slouching. You didn't have a really good muscular shoulder here, but nonetheless, it did pop up nicely. A double, triple pop. Pop, pop goes the weasel goes pop. And it went up above the 200 moving averages here. But now, as it's come down, it's popping up a little bit, but look how beautiful this, it's like a shelf. It's like ready to just take off again, so I say. So what I'm saying to you here on DNDN is, you got rumors, unconfirmed chatter, as they say, that Celgene may come and buy DNDN for 16 to share. Some say ultimately 18 to 20. Just a rumor. Benzinga, reports it. So we don't know if this is true. Many others on the Yahoo message boards said, and again, you definitely don't want to be getting your direct news from Yahoo message boards, but every once in a while, it's good for, as they say, shits and giggles. But, here, I gotta bring this down so you can actually see in here where it says Dendrian buyout rumor. Okay, now that we saw that. But they also talk about that Dendrian had looked in the past and might have been interested. So, just getting back to the charts, I think, if you want something that has a shot at maybe a buyout, maybe a rumored buyout jump, or just the fact that, plain and simple, you got these gaps that you're right below could easily be filled. So from 740, you fill the first gap, let's say at 870, it's $1.30 on a 740 investment. So I take that $1.30, divide it by 740, what do we get? 17%, not bad, but then you got another gap to go. I mean, you could, seriously, over the course of the end of the year even, if you fill both gaps here from 740 to, let's say, 1140, you got yourself 50-60% and the possibility of a big home run. So, cautiously, sneakily, I get into Dendrian in here. I got maybe pointed downside. I think I got 3-4 points of upside. Maybe, just maybe, if there is some sort of deal, maybe the sucker goes back up to 16 to 18. This is Chris Walken. I'm out.